Welcome to the Juice Box with Juice Springsteen, covering the week that was in professional wrestling. In case you're living under a rock, Jade Cargill has signed with WWE. The first female chip to fall in the AEW to WWE saga. Cody Rhodes was, of course, the first male chip to fall. And regardless of what Vince Russo says, is the most over babyface in the entire damn company. There are plenty of reasons as to why Cody Rhodes would be desired by WWE. He felt stagnant with his original WWE run, and in the time that he was gone, helped create the biggest pro wrestling company to compete with WWE since World Championship Wrestling. Once AEW began and got its footing, Cody forged his way through his own trials and tribulations, and once the time was right, WWE scooped him up and re-debuted him at WrestleMania 38. Sure, casual fans knew of Cody, but WWE and their machine backing Cody really was the turning point for those fans. Jade Cargill was 61-3 in her time in AEW and has the longest title reign still for any AEW title at 508 days. Of course, the AEW women's roster is stacked even without Jade, but to think that Jade going to WWE is not a huge loss for AEW is a big oversight, in my very humble opinion. Great friend of the show, Drew Baydala, co-host of the Tuesday Night Titans with Jade from New York, gave a great analogy of a number one overall pick for a sports team and their development and how WWE will take what AEW had and mold it better. However, in that same breath, Drew disagreed with the notion that AEW was really losing out on Jade Cargill. Jade Cargill has an incredible look, an imposing presence, a fantastic physique, and truly an unlimited ceiling with the WWE machine behind her. Her in-ring presence can improve, and everybody has to, at some point in their careers, just get better in ring. Not everybody can be, Bryan Danielson, Kenny Omega, Charlotte Flair, Bianca Belair. The WWE way of doing things is a way that takes time and skill and patience, and I have no doubt in my mind that if Jade continues to put in the hard work that she already has been putting in with her career thus far, that she will absolutely succeed in WWE, and honestly could make a great career out of her time in WWE, however long that is. To Drew's point, though, I don't disagree with his number one draft pick analogy, and I do believe that AEW missed an opportunity to truly capitalize on Jade Cargill overall. The fact that Cody went from AEW to WWE, and even though Cody was beloved in AEW, by the end of it, maybe not so much, but now he's by far the biggest babyface that WWE has. I think says a lot, considering now Jade is going to WWE, the first female to go from AEW to WWE. So to say that AEW is not going to have this is not a big loss for them, I think is a little far-fetched. If WWE, didn't want Jade Cargill, they wouldn't have signed Jade Cargill. They wouldn't have signed her on a merit of nothing, doing nothing, having zero, upside. I think they saw what Jade did in AEW, saw that it was impressive, saw that she looked impressive, could maybe use some work in ring, but I mean, who doesn't? No one is perfect. So even though some might say that AEW fumbled a bag with Jade Cargill, and maybe they're better off without her, which I don't personally agree with, I think that Jade Cargill signing with WWE proves that she was, in fact, coveted, and that AEW did do something right. However, WWE just might do it better. Welcome, once again, to the Juice Box. I am Juice Springsteen. Wanted to do a little opening monologue to begin the show, as I felt that the Jade Cargill of it all has been a pretty widespread topic throughout the internet wrestling community over the last 7 days. After she had her final match, it's were to seem, with AEW and Chris Statlander, the rumors were rampant. You know, was she going to WWE? What was going to happen? Lo and behold, out of nowhere, first thing we see on an early morning this past week, Jade Cargill, in fact, signs with WWE. I kind of gave my short amount of thoughts there in that little monologue thing. However, I kind of want to expound on that a little bit. We'll get into all the normal stuff. We got WrestleDream predictions. We were originally going to have Triple Threat Theater this week, but due to countless outside interferences and just things not lining up right, let's just put it that way, for this week. It will be coming. Hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we can have a Triple Threat Theater Volume 3 out there for you guys. It will happen. I can assure you of that. But this week we've got the regular old episode. And then next week we, of course, have the Fastlane Predictions Show, which is always fun. Hopefully we'll get Josh Eisenberg on for that. But yeah, you can follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, juicysteen.podbean.com. Apple Podcasts, review this on iTunes. Got a few more ratings on iTunes, 5 stars, which is actually really generous of you guys out there. I know I plead and beg, and I really just hope that you guys listen to the show and enjoy it. But the ratings matter, and it was nice to see some more ratings pop in there. So I really appreciate the feedback from you guys. Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram as well, if you'd like to see some of my wrestling t-shirts that I have. We can also talk wrestling over there as well. But to get back to the Jade Cargill of it all, I thought that it was inevitable that she was going to get signed. And there it happened. You know, she got signed. The rumors were true. She's going to go to the Performance Center. And in fact, we've already seen photos of her at the Performance Center training already. Looks great. Not like she was going to lose a step in the days that she was removed from AEW to WWE. The real question, though, is what's next? You know, the speculation of who's next, and not Goldberg, although maybe he'll show up at WrestleDream. We'll get to that a little bit. I'm curious to who she faces in regards to Jade Cargill, of course, but I'm also curious as to how her WWE career begins, is morphed, what's going to happen, you know, how they're going to debut her. Some are going to argue, you know, it's tough that they didn't ruin a surprise by announcing the signing. And in fact, I would like to wager that it kind of helps Jade Cargill that she is being touted as such a huge signee for WWE, getting the ESPN article treatment. Triple H put her over in a tweet. A lot of great praise for Jade Cargill across the board, which of course leads the wrestling fans to go back and forth instead of just praising her for getting this huge opportunity. We're just going to argue about did AEW lose something? Are they going to be better off without her? Is Jade going to be used correctly in WWE? So that's why we're here on the Juice Box. Personally, I wouldn't hate if Jade goes to NXT. However, I think that if that were to happen, it would have to be one of those, Asuka situations where she just mows down a lot of talent. And that's just her women's division. And she wins, becomes NXT champion, and holds that for a while. Has, I guess you could say, has a streak, but just really is undefeated for a while. And then, of course, goes to WWE and loses the streak to Charlotte Flair at WrestleMania. No. Which I would say, though, some will compare Jade Cargill to a certain talent. I think physique-wise, Charlotte Flair's pretty close. I think they're very close in that realm. In-ring ability, I think it's a mishmash of a lot of different wrestlers. But I'm kind of going to throw some of that out as Jade transitions into becoming a WWE superstar. Because, as I stated earlier in the open of the show, the WWE style is so much different than anywhere else. You got to, the hard cameras are a certain spot. You got to really hit your cues. You got to hit your marks. Timing of commercials. There might not be, the picture-in-picture. And, certain things are going to be changed once you go to WWE. So I really think it'll be interesting to see how that transpires with Jade. So yeah, she could go the NXT route, but maybe you could do a Royal Rumble thing. It's not too crazy. What are we? End of September. But January is only 3 months away, so I don't see why they couldn't pull that off. But the way I think they probably will do it, and it could be NXT, it could be on the main roster, you just do some vignettes. You do some traditional vignettes, getting everybody hyped to see Jade, and you got to see, what she's got. But I think it's going to be easier for WWE to move forward by getting her some reps in ring, maybe in an NXT, and then you do the vignette treatment for the main roster, or potentially just silence that and then go straight to the Rumble. I don't think there's a wrong way to debut her or put her on a certain brand. I think with time she'll be on Raw and SmackDown pretty quickly. Especially, Dom Mysterio is North American champion. Becky Lynch is the NXT Women's Champion. So NXT is not a demotion. In fact, I don't think it's ever been a demotion, or it might have used to have been looked at as such, but not now. As a matter of fact, I'd like to read verbatim this quote that Shawn Michaels had earlier today, as I'm recording this Thursday, during a conference call talking about Jade Cargill. Shawn Michaels says, and I quote, "She's an awesome specimen. A striking young lady and such a presence about her. I feel like that is something, she is a young lady tailor-made for the WWE, and I think she has an incredibly bright future here. Whoever gets her. I'd be lying if I didn't say that I wouldn't love to have her here in NXT, but wherever she ends up, I have no doubt that she's going to have great success." I mean, that tells you a lot. I know Shawn Michaels is going to tout any potential wrestler that comes through, or, someone that they just signed. They're not going to downplay them, but I think it's a vote of confidence. I think it's nice to also see, and again, I'll call back to the open, where I referenced Drew Badalla's, number one overall pick analogy. And to me, that's exactly what this is, considering Shawn even goes a little bit into the kayfabe realm, saying, I'd love to, I didn't say that I wouldn't, or I'd be lying if I didn't say I wouldn't love to have her here in NXT, as if, they have those calls. But if she's better than what, they think that she can be already, if she's ahead of the NXT curve, if there is one, Put her on Raw or SmackDown. You got 5 hours of TV there. No, I know you have 7 overall all week, but I don't see a problem. Because that's the thing you run into. If she goes to NXT, what is she going to go against Becky Lynch immediately? You know? So she could go to WWE and kind of navigate her way through there, but she's a very powerful presence. And I know I made the Cody parallel earlier, but it was just for the fact of this is the first female chip to fall. But Cody was already established, already was in WWE, had a run, left, created a whole company, then came back. Jade has been in AEW pretty regularly since the beginning, since 2020. And she was, in fact, that bitch. And now she's in WWE, and I think the sky is the limit for her. I couldn't be happier to have this signing happen. I'm really looking forward to the back and forth of who's going to jump from AEW to WWE, who's going to go from WWE to AEW. We've seen quite a few of the latter. I don't need to go over the list, but you know the roster. So to me, the AEW to WWE, though, that is more fascinating considering we haven't really had that. I know MJF teased 2024. I doubt MJF's going to WWE. They would really limit him, I think, in his promo work. So, but all that fascinates me of who's going to jump ship, because the height of the Monday Night Wars, where I was really birthed as a wrestling fan. I mean, I was born in the same month and year that Monday Night Raw became a thing. And then and my family became a Nitro family. So we were going back and forth watching the shows. So in the thick of the Monday Night War, you didn't know who's going to show up on Raw, who's going to show up on Nitro. You know, first Nitro, Lex Luger shows up. He was the WWE house show the night before. So that type of intrigue and excitement kind of permeates whenever you have two solid companies. Finally, for the first time since 2001. So we'll see what chips fall next. I'm really looking forward to it. But yeah, Jade Cargill going to WWE. Who's going to be next? Who is going to be next? We'll get to some people that could be next. I'm going to touch on a few things before we go to the WrestleDream predictions. Like I said, this show kind of came together last minute because thought Triple Threat Theater was going to be locked and loaded. But without that happening, I figured I could touch on WrestleDream predictions and then discuss some other stuff, newsworthy items, as the week has presented to me thus far. Unfortunately, Adam Cole, my God, I believe I mentioned it last week. He jumped off the ramp to help MJF or root MJF on. At Grand Slam. And of course, looked like he was limping as soon as he landed. And lo and behold, they cut a promo in the middle of the ring. Adam Cole and MJF. Adam Cole with crutches and a lot of wrapping around his leg and ankle there. Says he broke it in 3 places, a lot of damage to some ligaments. It seems very legitimate, and that he will be out quite a few months after surgery that he does say he needs. Of course, there's the detractors. There's people that say this is a work. Britt Baker, former Chairshot Reality alum, posted photos of, apparently, Adam's leg and an x-ray. However, the photo of the foot, the x-ray, and then the photo of the side shot all weren't together. So you never saw his face with the broken. There's ways that they could still dance around it if it were a work, is all I'm saying. I'm not of belief of that. I do believe that he's legitimately injured and that this is very unfortunate timing. However, they can really play this up. They got Roddy Strong already injured and doing the neck thing and being annoying rather. MJF might have to defend the Ring of Honor tag titles by himself. You might get some intrigue there. I like that they're going to kind of roll with whatever's happening, whether it's a work or a shoot with an injury. Once I saw it happen, I really felt that it was legit, and it was oh God, here we go. Adam Cole getting the injury bug, another person jumping off the ramp in AEW getting hurt. So, all well wishes go to Adam Cole, of course. Here on the Juice Box, big fan of Adam Cole. 8 wings with him at Wing Shack back in 2017. Will we see now? This could get into triple threat theater. Of course, we don't really know what we're talking about. It's some of the topics, but a topic that has been discussed heavily that we might discuss with all three of us is The Rock, of course. And there is a rumor floating around that, and I also say this saying that the strike seems to be resolved in Hollywood and things are going to start to pick back up here. I'd say sooner than later. But the rumors that The Rock could be wanted, of course, who wouldn't want The Rock at a pay-per-view or a PLE, right? But the rumor is that potentially at Elimination Chamber in Perth, which if you are on the East Coast, hell, if you're in the United States, might want to throw a few more shots of coffee in the pot because you're going to be up very early watching this show as they're at a 12-hour difference. The rumors that The Rock is being kind of requested to be someone and to be a part of this show. I'm going to just say it right now. If you're not going to have The Rock win the Rumble, please God, don't. I could see him going in an Elimination Chamber match, potentially winning, getting that shot at Roman, you know. The Elimination Chamber, some say, it's a barbaric match. The Rock would never do that. He barely got through his Mania 29 match with Cena without having the movie company say, hey, look, you need to be chill. Your insurance ain't going to cover this. We got to have you ready for movies. But the Elimination Chamber has had such a nice renovation with the cameras, the certain types of plexiglass, the angles that they can cut with the cameras, the different matting on the ground, on the pad and stuff. They make it safer. So I think it's doable. And I'd like to see The Rock in an Elimination Chamber match. I don't think he's ever been in one. So to me, that's intriguing. So we'll see with that, but thought that was interesting. The Rock down under, but we'll see. Also, interesting little note: Collision, AEW Collision, and Rampage coming to Pittsburgh. Rampage for the, I guess, third time, at least, but the first Rampage ever was in Pittsburgh, which is really cool. Christian won the Impact title over Kenny Omega, which was awesome. It was so much fun. Back in August of 2021. But now we are getting Collision for the first time. November 25th, that is a Saturday. That is also coincidentally Survivor Series night, emanating from Chicago. So that's going to be weighing heavily on the minds of people that want to go see that show in Pittsburgh, considering Survivor Series is in Chicago. Who knows who could be in Chicago for that? So that's very intriguing. I'm curious to see how that show sells. I mean, it's the risk you run. I know they had Collision when Payback happened, and I'm sure they'll have Collision when Fastlane happens next Saturday. But, man, cool to see Collision now coming in. This is two different times of the year where AEW's come through. They were here in April, and they will be here in November. So, cool little 7-month window between. But yeah, with Survivor Series being that same night, depending on what they do, although I am under the impression they might do a War Games. I know we're not going to really discuss too much of Raw this past week. I'm going to do just a little bit right here. The stuff with Raw, I feel like we could get a Judgment Day of JD McDonough, Finn Balor, Damian Priest, and Dom versus KO, Sami Zayn, Cody, and Jey Uso. Why not? Right? Why not? So we'll see what happens there. I think Cody in a War Games match makes all the sense in the world. And it would be fantastic to see him in that role. Outside of that, for WWE, Matt Riddle was an additional person that got released. Seemed to be that it was just when, not if, after just a lot of not great reports on the internet about just behavior and certain things going on. We're not really going to get into the detail here. This is primarily the All Wrestling show. As I yawn on mic because it's late and I'm recording this. But yeah, Matt Riddle gets released, so we'll see where he turns up. If he wants to continue wrestling, we'll see. But I doubt he goes back to MMA. But real quick, we will discuss a little bit the WWE here before next week we do the Fastlane predictions. Thus far, we do have Shinsuke Nakamura, Seth Rollins running it back for the World Heavyweight title, but this time in a last man standing match, which, Nakamura did get the upper hand in that last couple of weeks. I know at Payback, where I was in attendance. Great little match with Seth and Nakamura. I almost just called him Knock. That was an interesting way of phrasing it. Shin, Knock, Seth, freaking, Raw. But now we get Nakamura and Rollins again, but this time last man standing, and with the every potential pinfall, near fall rather, all came with the premise of leading up to the match, which was his back, Rollins' back. I like the last man standing aspect because if you hurt his back and he can't get up, it's genius. It's a genius way to book this match. Will Nakamura win? I don't know. I still think Gunther is the guy to take the belt off Seth Rollins down the line, but I'm not necessarily going to say that I'm growing tired of Seth Rollins being world champion, but I am looking forward to someone new being champion. It's not the same as Roman because Roman's held the title for over 3 years, but Seth being the first World Heavyweight Champion in this new title design, it would be nice to see someone new take it, and then we could really get some more new matchups because it's been Seth since the beginning. We knew we were going to get a lot of great matches, and it has not disappointed. We also are going to get Solo Sikoa and Jimmy Uso, the Bloodline, or what's left, taking on John Cena. In a 2-on-1 handicap match that was supposed to be AJ Styles, but just earlier, before they were supposed to do their contract signing on SmackDown, AJ Styles was brutally attacked backstage by Jimmy and Solo. So, that being said, seems like it's going to be a handicap match, but I would not be surprised if LA Knight or Cody Rhodes maybe even gets involved and becomes a tag match of epic proportions at Fastlane. So we'll get to all that next week. They've got, Friday on SmackDown tonight, and Raw and SmackDown next week to finalize something before Fastlane. Right now, there's only 2 matches being advertised. One other quick note. Last week, I mentioned I was best man at my friend Matt, my best friend since 6th grade. Matt got married last week. I was the best man. And it was incredible. It was so much fun. A great time. Great people. I gave a best man speech, which pretty daunting, I must say, in front of a little over 150 people. That's the biggest crowd I've ever performed in front of. But I would have performed a little bit better had it been in the Tokyo Dome. But it was fun. Great night. Matt and Casey are a great couple, and they're having fun as we speak at Universal at Halloween Horror Nights. So kind of jealous, got to be honest. But holding down the fort here in good old Pittsburgh. here in the juice box. So congratulations are in order once again to Matt and Casey. I am thrilled that you guys wanted me involved, and I am happy that I got to be there and give a speech, and I'm glad I didn't get booed off the stage. But let's get into the final act here of the juice box this week, WrestleDream. This is the newest of the AEW pay-per-views, 1 year anniversary of Antonio Inoki's death, and I do believe that the show will begin with a 10-bell salute to Inoki. It's taking place in Seattle, which I think is awesome. It's going to be a hell of a crowd and atmosphere. Bryan Danielson, who's from Seattle, is going to be arguably in the main event against Zack Sabre Jr. And yeah, it's WrestleDream. It's also, they called Inoki wrestling's greatest dreamer. Not Tommy. But this is also a spot where you could just do straight up dream matches, but they are also doing storyline stuff as well, of course. So we're going to go through the card. I'm going to give a couple thoughts on each match as we get through them, because there's a lot of interesting stuff on this card. I'm just going to kind of bounce around. Let's start with Ricky Starks, Wheeler Yuta. Starks, who has come off a Texas death match, and the strap match with Bryan Danielson, really proven himself for the last couple of weeks, taking on Wheeler Yuta from the BCC, who pretty much made his name getting his ass handed to him week in, week out, but coming back, wanting more. And they're going to get a one-on-one match between these two guys. They had a little bit of an interaction backstage this past week on Dynamite, and the match is set. So I think it's going to be a little bit of an underrated match looking at it on paper, because these guys both have a chip on their shoulder. They kind of want people to just accept them and respect them, and Yuta's got it from the BCC. Starks got it from the IWC. So we'll see if AEW can put on a nice little match here with Starks and Yuta. I'm going to pick Ricky Starks to get the win, and BCC getting pissed that Yuta could not finish the job. Young Bucks versus the Guns versus the Lucha Brothers versus Orange Cassidy and Hook. 4-way tag match for the future AEW World Tag Team title shot. This could go to anybody, but I am going to go on a limb here and say that the Guns take this one and move forward. I think the Guns are on an incredible roll. Both them and the Bang Bang Gang of Juice Robinson and Jay White have done wonders on Collision. Love them every week on Collision. Great entrance. Although Austin Theory and Grayson Waller had a similar entrance this past week on SmackDown. But give me the Guns here. I think that'll be a fun 4-way. All those teams don't disappoint. A lot of talent in that match. Chris Statlander defends her TBS title against arguably one of the hottest rising stars in ring and for a while as a character, Julia Hart of the House of Black. I still think Chris Statlander wins this match and retains her title, but I think Julia Hart puts on a good showing on pay-per-view here. Love her look, love the entrance, love the House of Black. And I love that she went from happy-go-lucky cheerleader to this dark character, and I think she's had some great character work over the last couple of months because with that character change, maybe over the last year. I guess it's been quite a long time now. But I think Chris Statlander's on a roll, and I don't see her losing this title anytime soon. Shibata versus Eddie Kingston, the new Ring of Honor World Champion and Strong Openweight Champion. But I think it's for both titles, as a matter of fact. And I think Kingston's going to win. I guess I want to talk about it now. There's rumors that they're just going to ditch this Ring of Honor thing. Not the whole company or anything, but they might merge and just become one entity. At least on the title side of things. Now, it could be a rumor. I don't know. But it's intriguing because a lot of these titles that are up in the air, like you have AEW guys doing things on Ring of Honor guys, like Either separate it or just make it all one show. It is so confusing and convoluted and frustrating at times to try to keep up with all of that. Not to say that, I don't. It's not that I don't like Ring of Honor as a brand. Ring of Honor was one of the first like independent wrestling companies I fell in love with back in the early 2000s. So, but give me Kingston in this match. Now we're getting into some interesting territory here. Christian Cage versus Darby Allin. 2 out of 3 falls for the AEW TNT title. Will Sting show up? Will Edge show up? Edge could show up at this show. I wouldn't be shocked. His contract with WWE ends tomorrow, Saturday, September 30th. It doesn't mean that Edge would appear in a Christian match, but I mean, you have Christian on the roster. Christian, who's one of the biggest heels in all of wrestling right now, but he's doing great work. How crazy and amazing would that be for Edge to kind of cut him off or show he wants to be on Christian's side and turn on him, like be the face, There's a lot of avenues if Edge were to come in. Don't even know what the hell they'd call him. Could be Adam Copeland. Who knows? But this is a match where I could see that happening. In the Sting realm, if Sting comes out here, there's also rumors that... here's the thing. Tony Khan has said that WrestleDream will be not only the end of an era, but it also could be the beginning of a new time for AEW. And I find it fascinating that with this match, if Sting were to come out and potentially announce that he's going to have one final run, a pronounced and announced ahead of time one final run, like a tour of some sort, or maybe without saying something directly like that, gets involved in a match like this, and they just want to use him down the line and make sure that, like, he gets involved with a storyline and where it's going to end up being, career versus whatever. But Sting, Edge, a lot of intrigue with Christian and Darby. We'll see. Maybe nothing happens. But there's a lot of intrigue just on the premise of who could show up at this show. But for my money, I'm going to take Darby Allin in this 2 out of 3 falls match. I think Darby has been a great TNT champion. He's been a great competitor going after this title inside and out. He has been a 2-time TNT champ, and I do believe that the record amount of reigns is 3. But I also know that Wardlow has 3. Let's see. I want to make sure I know. Oh, Cody has 3 as well. Cody, Wardlow, and Sammy Guevara all have 3 AEW TNT title reigns. So it'd be fun to see a potential 3rd reign for Darby. Darby also has the most combined days as champion. So this is really Darby's title to win. And I'd like to see him win it back from Christian Cage here, who actually is champion now. He won the triple threat on Collision. Jericho and the Golden Elite, Kota Ibushi and Kenny Omega versus the Don Callis family. Little Bobby Heenan-esque here, but a little more dastardly. Takeshita, Will Ospreay, Sammy Guevara. Hell of a loaded 6-man here. Just like that Fatal 4-Way tag, I think there's a lot of great talent in this 6-man. Takeshita's got a lot of good wins the last couple of days. Couple of days, but within a month he defeated Kenny Omega and was it Ibushi or I don't know. But Takeshi's done a lot of work. However, I think this is a moment for Sammy Guevara to get over that hump. Maybe he pins Jericho here, and they advance their feud as well. Give me the Don Callis family with a win in their debut as such a team. And I guess I can also say this too. I guess I forgot to mention in that Chris Statlander Julia Hart match. That is the only match for the women on this show. But there's a rumor, another potential rumor here, of a women's wrestler who has not showed up in AEW yet, who did show up in New Japan Pro Wrestling before she got injured, formerly of WWE fame, one Mercedes Moné. Could you imagine if she shows up at WrestleDream? A lot of things, they talk about ending eras or crafting a new one. You get some of these talents in there, and they show up for this show. Look out! Wow, MJF apparently by himself versus the Righteous, Vincent and Dutch, for the Ring of Honor World Tag Titles. Like I said earlier, with the Adam Cole injury, I think this is an easy way for the Righteous to win the titles, unless MJF wants to tag with Roddy or somebody else to defend the tag titles. Maybe Adam picks Roddy, hand picks him. How incredible of a storytelling would that be? See, that's how they can pivot and still make this work until they figure out something long term, if Adam Cole is legitimately hurt for a long time. Again, with the Ring of Honor tag titles, it'd be easy. Just get him off of AEW guys completely. And I've really enjoyed the Righteous's video vignettes. Great little eerie promos, very reminiscent of a lot of different pop culture things. I'm picking up on, the Righteous Gemstones, of course, a little bit of Texas Chainsaw Massacre, just a little bit of everything, and I really enjoy it. I'm going to say if it's Roddy, MJF and Roddy retain. If it's Actually, you know what? If it's MJF and Roddy, give me the Righteous. I think the Righteous are going to win this outright. I don't know if MJF's going to try to take him on 2-on-1, but if it's him by himself or if it's Roddy handpicked, I think it blows up in their face and the Righteous end up winning these tag titles because MJF should just be world champion. Jay White interrupted him, and it looks like Jay White interrupted MJF on Dynamite after their promo with Adam Cole. So I think Jay White is probably penciled in for Full Gear in November. And I will say, at the end of Dynamite, Jay White was beaten up backstage by a bunch of masked men and someone masked as the devil, the same mask that MJF wore multiple times as entrances, the devil when he had the chip at Double or Nothing. And also was in Adam Cole's locker hanging up in a video segment posted online at All In. So, again, if this is all a work, I don't know. Could it be Britt Baker under the mask? Yeah, there's a lot of different things they could do here. Got me excited. FTR, Aussie Open for the AEW World Tag Team titles. Aussie Open are a great team, but I kind of foresee FTR retaining here and ended up going against, potentially, if my predictions are correct, the Guns again. And I'd like to see the Guns take the titles off FTR and really, really put together a strong run as the Bang Bang Gang as we go into Full Gear, because if you have MJF as champion, he's trying to defend that title, but in his sights, he's got Jay White, who's going for the world title, and you get the AEW tag titles, potentially on the Guns. It could be really tough. It could be almost a Judgment Day thing where everybody's got some gold. I'm going to take FTR. And then the last two matches. These are two that I'm very interested in. I'm not sure if any crazy twists or turns or debuts or returns happen in either of these. But damn it, they seem like they're going to be incredible matches. First, Hangman Adam Page versus Swerve Strickland. These are two of your top singles talent in AEW. And for a non-title match to have this type of prestige and for them to have a contract signing for, again, a non-title match at a AEW pay-per-view, I think says a lot about both these guys. Hangman, of course, was an AEW World Champion. Swerve Strickland, I think, is on the precipice of becoming the AEW World Champion at some point down the line. And I think it would be a great move if they pulled that move off. This is tough. I would like to see Swerve Strickland get this win. I really would. I think Hangman Adam Page has been established for quite a while. And that's not to say Swerve isn't, but on this level, on this type of stage, give me Swerve Strickland to win He's from Tacoma. I think this is a hometown gig here. His birthday is on Saturday. I think it's perfect. It's all going to line up there. And I really think that Swerve has the future ahead of him here. I don't know if he would take on MJF or, I don't know how that would all shake out, but I think Swerve gets a huge win against Adam Page in a great contest, of course. And then dream match, Zack Sabre Jr., Bryan Danielson. Oh my God. This is going to be great. I had pretty crazy expectations for Okada and Danielson, of course. Was that back at, it wasn't at All In, it was at Forbidden Door. And it was a good match. It was a long match. It was a good match. But, like, Kenny and Will Ospreay, of course, had, like, the better of the two matches. Both were dream, quote-unquote matches. But this is being WrestleDream. I think that this is truly a dream match of epic proportions because they're so technically sound. This is like Dean Malenko against Dean Malenko. But, like, PWI 500 Dean Malenko, number one. Against the same. This is... Oh, man. I would love to see Zack Sabre Jr. win this match on a massive stage like this. But I do believe Bryan Danielson gets the win in his hometown. But chalk this up for another great match. I don't see why not. And, hey, you're a fan of Bryan Danielson. If you're a fan of Zack Sabre Jr., if you're a fan of AEW, if you're a fan of pro wrestling, first of all, this pay-per-view is for you. Second of all, really, really soak in Bryan Danielson's in-ring work while we can. He says that he doesn't have too much time left in ring. Potentially a year, maybe a little more, maybe a little less. His career was already taken away from us way too soon earlier in 2016. Miraculously, he could come back and wrestle. We don't want him, you don't want to miss out on something that potentially could be special. Anytime he steps in the ring, it could be special. He wrestles hard, he gets injured, things happen. So you don't want to also, think about like that, but you just never know. And I think it would just be a shame to not really soak these matches in before it's too late and Danielson's running AEW, because Tony Khan said, if anything happens to me, give the keys to Bryan Danielson. He could handle it. So give me Bryan Danielson in this dream match. A dream match for WrestleDream. I think the pay-per-view should stack out and be a great one. Looking forward to it. But yeah, it should be a fun night. 10 matches on this card. I'm sure it'll last well into the late hours of Sunday. Unfortunately, it's not a pay-per-view on a weekend where you have Mondays off generally, so that's okay. But again, the potential 12 pay-per-view model for AEW is kind of intriguing on one hand, but on the other hand, you're going to have to really pick. I know I will be picking and choosing which shows I would like to watch and purchase and not, because at 4 pay-per-views a year, I can justify that. The cards are always good. And it's not to say this card for WrestleDream isn't going to be good, but the odds of it being this good every month, every year is tough. Not to say AEW can't do it, but it's tough. And it'll be tough to pay that much. So we'll see. Maybe they go to Max. Maybe it's a streaming thing. Maybe it's a better price. Who knows? But until then, it's a $50 pay-per-view. WrestleDream. Bleacher Report Live, I know, is going to have it as well. Potentially some select movie theaters. But WrestleDream this Sunday. Hope you guys enjoyed this episode of the Juice Box. Triple Threat Theater will happen hopefully in a few weeks. Keep you guys posted on that. Donnie and Josh Cross always chomping at the bit to discuss wrestling, as am I with them. So that'll be fun when we get to do it, of course. And next week we should have Fastlane predictions, hopefully with Josh Eisenberg. We'll see if he's available for that. Yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed the Juice Box this week. As always, follow me on Twitter at JuicySteen, Juicy Wrestling Closet on Instagram, juicysteen.podbean.com. Rate this 5 stars on iTunes, or if you're like me, 5 straws. Google Podcasts, you can also find this show. And yeah, great talking to you guys this week, and I hope you guys listen this week, next week, and every week. As I am Drew Springsteen, and this has been another episode of The Juice Box. That was The Juice Box with Juice Springsteen. Make sure to subscribe to The Juice Box wherever you listen to podcasts.